apparently Nico likes to be beat around a little bit.
He's into BDSM.
Yeah, what can you tell me about Nico and what his coach said about getting him hit? Because I felt like we were all watching on eggshells early in the season. It's like he's still skinny. He can't get hit. You can't let anybody hit him because he could break in half. He's like a porcelain doll. But no, his high school coach said that's not the case.
Yeah, so Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel joined the Tony Basilio show last week and said that he had recently spoke with Nico Iamaleava's high school coach. And the coach told Sparks that contact early always made Iamaleava play better. Basically saying that Nico loved to run over people in the open field. And he loved to lower his shoulder. And basically, at that point, his dad, who was coaching at the time, his family would like flex and chest bump, and he would get really hyped. And they would say that at that point, Nico would just start balling and get into a rhythm. So basically what the high school coach was saying is Nico needs to get hit a little bit more early to get excited. Now, I read into that. I'm like, so should there, and I'll ask you, Dave, should Josh Heupel call some designed runs for Nico, maybe on the first drive, just to let him get hit a couple of times and get rolling?
I think he should call designed runs for Nico and plays in which he could receive contact because it makes this offense the best it can be. You can't look at Nico and think he's skinny and I'm scared because nobody has a backup anymore because the transfer portal. You can't play football like that. If you look at the sprint out, had that not been such a well-timed play, the one where he threw the pass down the sideline, it was Brazel, right? The 55-yarder? Okay.
No, the 55-yarder was Thornton, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Had that not been called at the right time, he could have been hit. So, and there are other times in the RPO game where he could get hit. So I think that's an important part of the offense, Caleb. I don't think it necessarily you do so because it might make Nico get into the game more. I just think they've been a little bit conservative with that in general.
Oh, I think so too. I think they've been very conservative with it. And, there is a lot of, don't get me wrong, quarterbacks are taught to protect themselves and things like that. They're the most vulnerable player on the field. I think we can agree with that. But I do think, and I think you could agree with me on this, Dave, right? Isn't it very important for a quarterback to get hit early, to get in somewhat rhythm? Just so you guys know, like, for instance, the quarterback that was notorious for protecting himself the most, Peyton Manning, in 2012, when he was coming back off his neck injury, Dave, I don't know if you know the story. He went to John Fox and he was like, I want to start every preseason game. I got to get hit some. He basically said, I'm not going to be able to go for the season unless I get hit and I feel it. And it worked. Another example I can give you guys is RG3 after that horrible leg injury that wrecked him in the playoffs. He was trying to come back the next year. I think you know the story. He wanted to try to be Peyton Manning, which was stupid because he needs to use his legs. But one area where Mike Shanahan was wrong and he messed up RG3, he held RG3 out of all of preseason that year. And it was like, I don't want him to get hurt. I don't want him to get tweaked. And even RG3 was like, I got to get hit a little bit. Like, you've got to hit. You have to get hit some as the quarterback just so you can settle into what you're doing. And if you're never hit and you're trying to protect yourself, you're going to play the whole time nervous about getting hit. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And you got to get hit some as a quarterback. And so I'm with you. I think have a designed run and also have it where like Nico goes out and he can, run over a safety or something like that. For the record, by the way, we always forget this. Hendon Hooker a lot of times got his offense going because he had a great run early. And that's how he would get going.
I think it sounds good for the coach to say that, but isn't that most football players? Was it against Alabama where Hendon Hooker got so fired up on the goal line where he took a hit and possibly got kind of pushed into the ground? I can't remember the game.
No, Florida.
It's Florida. I mean, aren't most quarterbacks like that? I mean, I'm sure Peyton Manning would like to sit back in a perfect pocket and throw and pick people apart, but probably the same for Tom Brady. But don't you think that most quarterbacks like a little bit of contact to kind of get in the flow of the game?
I think most quarterbacks need it, and Manning and Brady needed it at least within the season, but they could go into a game and just spend the whole game protecting themselves from getting hit. I think most quarterbacks though do need, and Nico does seem this way, they need to get hit in the game. Does that make sense? With Manning and Brady, they just need to get hit in the season at some point, but they're going to protect themselves during the game. But I think Nico needs to get hit in the game to really get going. And I think that also, I mean, look, if confidence is Nico's issue, Dave, well, I mean, let's just call it what it is. The biggest confidence booster is getting hit. That helps you a lot more than a lot of other things. So, I think getting hit is one of the biggest things for Nico that is going to be really helpful for him going forward.
Agreed. What the H brought to you by Medicare Misty, again, licensed into over 40 states. It's open enrollment. She can take care of your Medicare needs at no cost to you.
19 years this year. I've been in the community since 1993. You're getting a lot of information. Unlike when you were working, they made the choice for you. Now you have to make the choice. Come to us and let us help you make it easy. Call Medicare Misty, MedicareMisty.com or 423-777-5577. Let us help them sleep at night.
And we call her Medicare Misty.
Hey, let's do this. We're a couple of minutes early, but he's there and he's waiting for us. So let's bring Oli Lane in on this discussion. Oli, how are you, sir? Former Tennessee center. I kind of surprised you there, didn't I?
Yeah, a little bit, but I ready to be in here, excited. So yeah, let's get it going.
Okay, quarterbacks getting hit. We were just talking about Nico's high school coach said that Nico likes to get hit because it gets him into the flow of the game. That to me seems like that's probably more commonplace than not. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously different positions for sure, but for me, like I had to obviously get that first hit before I was comfortable in any type of game. But I mean, even now for like how the quarterback position has changed over the years, I heard you guys talking before, like the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Brady's, they probably didn't need to get hit because they're pocket passers. They would sit back there. They wanted protection. If they didn't get touched, it'd be okay for the whole day. That's what they wanted. But I feel like with some of these guys, especially the more aggressive runners and scramblers, especially the ones that want to get the most out of every yard, they want to get hit to just kind of get a gauge of, I wonder if like how much they could really push extra yardage. Is this a slide game? Is this I could run over a couple guys, make some plays? And I'm sure that's like part of the reason why his coach probably said this. Like that's a feeling out process for him at the beginning of the game. How hard are they hitting me? Do I need to slide this game? Can I make some extra plays, make extra yards on stuff? So I'm sure that's probably plays into it.
Yeah, and the other thing is too is yes, he looks a little slim, and he's probably going to put on more weight. But he's still, from what I've been told, and you could probably give me some input on this, he's still a very strong athlete. He's still 6'6", so it's not like he's a little midget running around out there.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, if you want to look at size comparisons, I mean, obviously comparing him to Joe, he's not the same size. But then, I mean, if you compare Hendon to Joe, they're not the same size. Hendon was a little bit smaller. Now he was older, beefed up a little bit more. And I'm sure Nico's going to get to that point. It's just part of that, just as you get into college, you get to that there's actual people dedicated solely to just developing his body, what his peak performance really looks like.
Caleb corrected me there on our little chat that we have so that it doesn't interrupt you. It's small. I think it's small people now. Is that what
small people?
You can't say the M word. That's kind of
I can't say the M word. I mean, we've got to go M word now. I can't say the F word for fat people, and I am a fat person.
I mean, I wouldn't
Guys,
say
not,
you're a
just,
fat
you can't,
person.
I don't know.
I wouldn't
fat,
give you the
I don't know if
fat
fat
card.
is like as much of a slur as like, but you can't say that word, okay?
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't mean to offend anybody. I actually watched the documentary "Am I Racist?" Last night. I did see Oli though, and it was good to see you. I'm sorry I didn't stay longer, but John Pennington when he's taping scares me.
yeah, no, I enjoy it though. He's a great guy to work with. So
no, I agree. Intense individual. But by the same token, it's an offensive line's job to keep the quarterback from getting hit. So is it incumbent upon Josh Heupel to call plays that will get Nico hit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's more of a terms of who you're letting Nico get hit by. I mean, obviously, it's the offensive line jobs. We're not going to let a defensive lineman just tee off and let him hit Nico, or for that factor, a linebacker. Obviously, if he wants to get hit or feel what a hit is, we want it from a little DB body that's not going to affect him too much. And so, I mean, you set it up with scheme that way. It was a lot of it, especially when you look back at Hendon Hooker. There's a lot of those quarterback design runs where it would allow him to get out on the edge because he could burn the first level defenders, and then he's just meeting the DB in the backfield somewhere on a one-on-one matchup, almost like a running back. Because, I mean, that's what you're trying to do with running backs, single them up on the corners, make them one-on-one situations with safety. So, I mean, when you can do that with a quarterback as well, that's ideal.